I am joined by Angela de Oliveira. She's Associate Provost for Faculty Development and Professor of Resource Economics. And Angela will offer advice on how to compose a successful application. We're also lucky to have here today 4 panelists who have successfully applied for the Professional Development Fellowship. So first there's Forrest. Hi, Forrest. Forrest Bolick. He's a senior lecturer in the Department of Earth, Geographic, and Climate Sciences, and also has a joint appointment in the Department of Environmental Conservation in the College of Natural Science. Kim Dion, she's a clinical professor in the Elaine Marie College of Nursing. Jay Gum, he's a senior lecturer too in the Department of Kinesiology in the School of Public Health and Health Sciences. And then last but certainly not least, Carolyn Zender. She's a senior lecturer in the Department of Biology and CNS. So let me share my slides. Okay. Yeah. Can everyone see them okay? All good? Okay, thank you. All right, so 4 parts really. I'll outline the application process. Angela will give advice, and then we'll have a panel discussion with the 4 panelists that I've introduced. And then there's plenty of time for questions. And I built in a little bit of time for questions after I and Angela speak. And feel free to put them in the chat or, unmute yourselves whenever you're ready. So, who's eligible for the Professional Development Fellowships? Non-tenure track faculty with 6 or more years of service. And that typically includes senior lecturers and senior lecturers too, and also extension and clinical faculty with 6 more years of service. The timeline, I'm organizing it by month. The application deadline is typically mid-October, the same time as our AFRs are due. The application forum opens in September in APWS. So one reason why we're holding the workshop at the end of the spring semester is to give you an idea of what comes, and then perhaps you may use end of the spring semester, perhaps even part of the summer, or get a start at the beginning of the fall, so you're ready with a really great application by mid-October. So once you've submitted your application in October, the departmental personnel committee reviews it in November, and the dean, so college or school, reviews it in December. And then in January, the provost chooses the recipients of 12th fellowship and notifies the recipients. And importantly, right, these are for the whole next academic year. So you apply in mid-October for either the following fall semester or the next spring semester. So it's not that you're applying in October for the immediately following spring semester. So selection criteria, right? This is a program that's in the CBA and the collective bargaining contract, and it provides a 1-semester release for professional development activities that relate to your job responsibilities or advance important initiatives, college or school. And so one thing that all the panelists have done that I hear today is to link it, to make it clear how it relates, how their fellowship application relates to their job responsibilities, and align it with someone else's priorities, whether it's the department, the college, university level. And I think they'll all go into that a little bit more when they speak in their remarks. So what are the requirements for fellowship recipients? So once you receive the fellowship, you may be asked to defer it, just to make, if this causes somehow hardship or disruption for the department with scheduling other parts of your work. Fellows you need to write a report at the end of this and share it with your department, share it with the college. And you're expected to keep working at UMass for 1 more year. So there's certainly help. You're always welcome to ask me for help. But Angela really mentors around application. And so I would like to now hand things over to Angela. Let me stop my sharing. There we go. Hand this over to Angela. Please add anything to my remarks, and then also to give advice on a successful application.
All right. Can everybody hear me okay? Excellent. Well, thank you everyone for coming today. I know many of you, but for those I don't know, I'm Angela de Oliveira, Associate Provost for Faculty Development. For the Professional Development Fellowships, I want to be clear that faculty development does not have any evaluative capacity related to these fellowships. They don't come to us and we don't make choices around them. Where we play a role is these information sessions and mentoring. So part of what I will do in the fall for anyone who would find it helpful is talking through what you're planning to propose and offering advice or suggestions on how to pitch it. And some people have wanted me to read and comment on their application, and I'm happy to do that so long as I have it early enough in advance. It's not a thing I can do, 2 days before it's due. But I'll spend quite a bit of time in the fall helping you craft your application if that's something that you would find helpful. I think the main points for these applications is that it really is, you can propose to do anything that's really beneficial to you in your development. The thing that you have to think about is how you pitch what you want to do in alignment with both your job responsibilities and the strategic goals of your department or your college. So, for example, if what you want to do is a research project in your area, and you teach primarily, then you might want to talk about how what you'll be researching will feed into your classes. And perhaps that also lines up with one of the strategic goals in your department. And so looking closely at those strategic plans and thinking about what are the things that you'd like to do and how could it fit in or align with the strategic goals of your department, with the strategic goals of the college, and the aspects of your job description. You'll also have access to previous successful applications for anyone who's agreed to share those as models. So that I think can be really helpful to look through how other people have pitched what they've wanted to do. And we've got really, I think, exciting projects that have happened all across campus. And so that can be fun to see in and of itself. I think that's the really big thing is, thinking carefully about what you want to do and then how you message it in alignment with what the people reading it are going to care about and the standards as bargained in the CBA. Questions?
Yeah, thank you, Angela. Any questions about the process as a whole? Anything Angela or I said? Thank you. So then we'll turn to our panel discussion, right? Highlighting 4 faculty members who have been successful, and they will share about their experience with the application process, with their applications as a whole. So, Forrest, would you like to start?
Absolutely, thank you, and thanks everyone for being here. And this was certainly useful for me. I attended 1 or 2 of these in my preparation for writing mine, so it's super useful. And yeah, thanks for putting it on, Christian, and thanks for everyone for being here. So again, my name is Forrest Bolick. I'm a senior lecturer in Earth, Geographic, and Climate Sciences and Environmental Conservation. So hi from down the hall, Lena. And I also have an affiliate appointment in the School of Public Policy, and I'm a core faculty in the Data Analytics and Computational Social Science program. So I've got my notes on my other screens, which is strangely above my camera. So if I'm looking up, it's not that I'm seeking inspiration from the universe, it's that I'm reading off my notes. So just It's the first time I've done this with the new setup, so I've got to get used to it. But so my project was about building up materials and resources and awareness for flexible education on campus. I'm a huge proponent of whatever we're calling it now, flex, hybrid, multimodal, if you remember that one. I'm a huge proponent of that. I teach all of my courses that way. And so my idea for the project really came from wanting to find ways to support that on campus. When I made my proposal, October 2022 is when I would have finalized and put that together. I think it was very much a area where there weren't a lot of consolidated, accessible pieces of information about flexible education on campus. So I came up with the idea that someone who has an expertise in flexible education, which I'll claim, having done it long enough, I'll claim that, should then gather information about which rooms are accessible, put together walkthroughs on, we've all taught in many different classrooms around here. And you know that when you show up with your computer to a classroom, it's going to be an adventure trying to get it connected to the room system and the camera and the microphone and everything else the first time. And so I said, well, maybe someone should actually go around and do that and actually say, okay, in this room, I certainly know there's a room in Morrill that hates my Windows laptop. Absolutely a problem. And not just mine, but other people's Windows laptops too. But if you have a Mac, best friends. And I've seen opposites of that as well, where there's some rooms that seem to like a Windows laptop better. So the idea was really just to come up with these connections and come up with these resources so that there would be something that people could reference and look at and say, oh, I'm teaching in this room. What's the setup look like? What cords are available? What adapter might I need to bring? It's simple stuff like that that can derail, the first day of class. I remember my first day ever teaching here at UMass, I showed up and there was no computer in the classroom because that's not a thing we do here. I had come from universities where there were computers in every classroom that you could present from. So like those kind of, it's almost folk knowledge, right? It's the things that no one writes down, no one tells you, but you're just kind of expected to know from the front. So I want to make clear some of those things. And that was the goal for my project. Obviously, coming up with that idea from my experiences and from my experiences of seeing plenty of, rough experiences with people using flexible technologies. So this is, of course, aligned with a lot of the different priorities, a lot of the different strategic plans that are out from not only my departments, but the college and the university. And really, when I was putting my application together, my key advice on that would be find those documents, whether it's your AQuad, whether it's your department strategic plan, whether it's the college strategic, all the way up to the university document. Find those documents, quote those documents, and put that in the application because it's so important to have that direct connection with what those priorities are, what those goals are, everything else. Put it in the application and put it there directly. Like, we tell our students all the time, I think in every domain, you got to cite your sources, right? And we all have different ways of doing that in our different domains. I'm highly encouraging the quotation mark, here's what it says, from this document. And I think that helps. It helps just as a practice to know what we've actually written down and said is important around here. So, and I think that's something that has been, was very important as I was trying to scope my own, okay, well, what kind of materials do we need? What kind of stuff is going to be useful? In a way, especially the campus IT and the Center for Teaching and Learning have started to develop some of those, which is really nice because then it allows me to do better in other areas. The Center for Teaching and Learning just put out a great email about, hey, all these classrooms have, flexible or remote affordances now. Great. That saves me a little work and means my other products can be better. So I would also just advise, the idea of the project and the way you frame it might change over time. That's fine. You're going to have to build stuff up. I think the most support I got in this was just bouncing ideas off of my department head and other folks on the faculty, especially, people connected with this. So if there are other experts or other people who are working on the topic you're interested in, talk to them. They probably have great ideas that you can integrate into these. Past that, I will comment real quickly. I actually did delay my improvement fellowship. So it was supposed to be happening right now, but because of a bunch of things that happened, a couple faculty left, all that kind of stuff, I had to make a pause on it. Totally fine. I totally understood, and it was a very easy process. It was literally an email to our dean's office. They're like, great, do it next year. So like, I think that sometimes, I certainly had a little anxiety of, oh, well, if I delay this, am I just not going to get it? Wasn't that case at all. It was very much, we're going to do it next spring and everything is going to be fine. So I think that gives a little bit more flexibility. If you're like, well, maybe next spring or next fall isn't the exact right time, that's fine. Put the application in anyway. And if it needs to be delayed, that's totally good. So yeah, I think that about covers it. I think that about covers the time slot too. So happy to, I'm happy to share materials or answer any questions here or over email later.
Thank you, Forrest. We do have another minute or so if somebody has a question directly now. Otherwise, we'll wait until the panelists have made their remarks. All right, thank you. So
Thank
then,
you.
Kim, would you like to go next?
I would. Hi, welcome everyone, and thank you. So I'm Kim Dion. I am a clinical professor in the Elaine Merritt College of Nursing. And so for mine, what I decided to do was to develop a certificate program. And so my certificate program is focused on caring for people with substance use disorder, and it is a 10 credit certificate program, which I developed 4 different courses for it. So in this development, how it helped me professionally is I had just completed a SAMHSA grant, a 2-year SAMHSA grant of teaching nursing students how to care for people with substance use disorder, because this is my research and my passion and life work. So I decided to take that information and develop these syllabi. So the 4 courses applied, I first spoke to my dean. So I highly recommend that whatever idea you have, please go speak to your department head, your dean, whomever it may be, to get the buy-in, to be sure that they want this, that they agree with it, because that was helpful in informing the direction. My dean completely understood, because this is an initiative, because it is a public health epidemic. It's overdoses are the #1 cause of death of people under the age of 50. And being from the nursing department, certainly educating our nursing students was an important initiative for our college. For the development of the 4 syllabi, it really was just a lot of my work that I brought together, but it did require a considerable amount of cross-referencing of content, because I wanted it to be matched up to a certification that nurses would be able to take and have those credits count. If they took this course, those credits for the course would count towards their certification. So it was a multi-level cross-analysis that I did in developing these 4 syllabi. As far as working with others and in terms of mentors, I can't say I had any mentors, but what I did do is I identified 2 other faculty who are experts in the field of substance use disorder as well, and really worked with them and asked them, would they like to be the faculty of record? I would be a faculty of record, but would they like to be a faculty to teach one of these courses? Because it was important for me to make sure that whoever's teaching the courses were experts. So we would meet. I developed everything. I came up with the content. I separated so that it was logically separated into these 4 different courses, and really worked with my colleagues who are experts in those areas for their expertise. So the mentorship really came from my colleagues in terms of, making sure that we were covering what was important, where it was covered, and how it was logically covered. So that was helpful. I was able to complete this. I finished my fellowship in the fall, so I'm just back this semester, and I was able to complete all of them, as well as submitting all 4 of the courses into the CCMS system so that they could go forward as experimental courses and as permanent courses and a certificate program. So here's my words of advice. So I I carefully planned everything out. I did it throughout the summer, really looking in terms of what I needed to do for the process at UMass. So if anyone is looking at doing anything that's related to syllabi development, please make sure that you frequently visit the Faculty Senate website and sort of check in with them, because I had originally planned for the courses to be a level 500 because I wanted both our undergraduate students who are unlicensed as well as our graduate students to be able to take these courses. So I had planned to make them at a 500 level. And after doing all of the courses, found out that in November, Faculty Senate had met and made a lot of changes. So it did require some a lot of backstepping and having to separate courses. However, please know if you do need to do anything with Faculty Senate, they were wonderful. They were absolutely supportive. Tony Pate could not have been any more helpful. So what ended up happening is I did finally complete. So I do have 4 syllabi. 3 of them are a split level. They are a 400/600 level course, which is pretty rare. Most people didn't know about it. I didn't know about it, but it was a way that I could implement these courses. So that was something that was helpful. I've got all of the experiment courses have been approved through Faculty Senate, and the permanent courses are all before Faculty Senate now, as well as the certificate program. So it was a labor of love, but it helps me professionally because it was also content that I had been doing voluntarily. So each semester I would go into 2 to 3 different classrooms and deliver this content. So now I had a formalized process where it was helpful to the college and available to anyone else on campus. So it's not exclusive to nursing. So that was also helpful to both the university and the community because it's an intercollaborative type of courses. So it met the utility of being useful across many levels for a public health issue. So it was well received. I did have to go through and have everything approved through our individual college, of course, our faculty assembly and march through. But it's just important, whatever you do, to make sure you keep the folks in, keep in touch with them along the way. So I kept in touch with the dean as I recognized that there were certain changes. And that was really helpful in making everything successful along the way. Okay.
Thank you, Kim, for sharing
welcome.
both your path to the application and then also some of your experience of actually taking the fellowship and achieving your goals, which was great. Thank you. Jay, we would love to hear about your application.
Great. The big question is, can you hear? Okay. I'll put this kind of a bigger microphone. Let's see. All right. So my project is I'm making a series of YouTube videos that span, well, they speak to some of the most important objectives in my classes. I teach anatomy and physiology, which is fundamental to a lot of what we do in kinesiology. So it serves as a prerequisite for upper level courses. And the biggest issue that we recognized, or that I recognized, was a lot of the upper level courses were spending a month reviewing material that should have been prerequisite. And they were doing it a lot of times just the way I did, because once I came in, my goal was to make the material relevant to the upper level courses. So problems, applications were ones that they would see at the beginning of the upper level courses. The hope is that by creating these videos, I'll have resources for my own class, but moreover, the entire department plans to make use of these resources and eliminate a lot of the review they do at the beginning of the upper level courses and dive more directly into problems that use the material so the students who don't need review aren't bored, and the students who do need review have resources to learn or access the material while they're solving new problems. And this was actually a very easy project to come up with. I started kind of flipping my classroom and making external videos in 2010. So I'd made many hundreds of videos over the years, and along the way, I learned a lot of stuff. And my first videos stank. There are just so many things you want to redo, and I wanted a do-over, and I wanted to make it organized. And I wanted to incorporate best principles and all the things that I wanted. And one of the hallmarks of these videos is that they're short, and I can make a 15-minute video on something in probably well under an hour, but making a 3-minute video, a 4-minute video sometimes takes me 2 days. So it was an opportunity to create a resource that could be used more universally across the department, but also our college and the university, as well as kind of scratch that itch where I really didn't like a lot of the material that was up beforehand anymore, and I wanted to redo it. And so the department loved the idea. I don't know how easy it's going to be to get buy-in for changing in the upper level classes. I have some ideas of more advanced problems they could start with instead of just doing the simpler review. We'll see how that goes. The proposal kind of wrote itself. I love using the Office of Faculty Development and other people who've had fellowships, but I found that mine was, I knew what I wanted to do. It was relatively easy to write. And then the pretty much only advice I would give from my experience is have fun with it, because it's this opportunity to focus on the things you like about your job without all the, all the BS that goes with it on your daily. I mean, I find I would start work at 4 a.m. because when you arrive at work, the day is gone. You get no chance to do the things that fill you up. So you can write a proposal about stuff that you've been wanting to do anyway. And then when you get the opportunity, I'm doing it right now, and I love it. It makes me really love my job again. So have fun. It's a great opportunity.
And that's a great note to end on. Thank you, Jake. That sounds really, really good. And Carolyn, we'd really like to hear about your experience.
Happy to share. Hey, and can I get a thumbs up if you can see? Okay, thank you, Christian. Yes. So I had to put some notes on PowerPoint slides because at this point in the semester, if not, I don't keep track of things, and who knows what I would start talking about. So this time next spring, I won't be on campus. I'll be doing the work that I'm going to be talking to you about. So I applied this past fall, and I proposed to create LGBTQIA plus inclusive material for biology courses, and design a new course for our biology curriculum. And so there are 3 main goals for my professional development leave, or professional improvement leave, or it's a kind of an unwieldy name. And so they build on each other, and they're all connected, but the things that I'll be able to share, I'm hoping, within the department and across CNS or across campus and elsewhere. And then some course specific modules, and these 4 courses that I teach, which is Bio 110 and Bio 152. So creating a module on the variety of sex determination mechanisms. And then finally, the big part of the work is going to be designing a new 300 level biology course, focused on explaining the concepts of sex, gender, and race from a biological perspective. And really something that we've received from the department. We know there's a lot of student interest in these topics and courses like this, and so really responding to that need. And then in terms of how I came up with this idea, I started broad with sort of like, here's, various projects I've been involved with in the department, work that I've been doing. And then met with our associate chair, who, is in charge of the TC, and kind of narrowed it down, and knew that then I'd have buy-in at the department level for this project. And like was just mentioned, like this is something I've been wanting to put more time and brain space and thought into, and it's just sometimes so hard to find that time during the regular semester. And so, if I'm going to spend a whole semester working on something, I want it to be something that I find joy in. But especially, I think everybody's mentioned this in their presentations, and Angela said specifically, and Christian did as well, that it's aligned with needs and mission statements and strategic plans and such. Like Forrest said, if you can quote it, then you should. So, and I would encourage you, we collect a lot of data on this campus, and it's scrolled away in various places. And so using that, be it, maybe it's, here's some of the flagship analytics data that I used in support of my proposal. And then also based, in terms of my familiarity with the biology curriculum, just kind of pointing out that this was filling an important need within our program. And then I think it helps to have really clear project deliverables, and how this will, how you're planning on determining, like, did your project work? Figuring out, and especially when you know that this is going to be going up in levels, getting farther and farther away from your home department. And so showcasing kind of the how this is going to be done and what's going to be produced. And then finally, and I've talked to a number of NTT faculty who are like, oh, this would be so great, but I couldn't do this because if I'm not there to teach my courses, the world's going to collapse. And the world might collapse anyway, but it has nothing to do with us not teaching our courses. And sometimes we need to put ourselves first. You're going to come back and teach better courses then, or be doing better work, and you've worked hard and you deserve this opportunity. And yes, we're all special and unique and doing really hard work that's really important, but if we're not there first semester, it'll be okay. And also, our job for this is to write a great proposal. It's not necessarily to plan everything that, how everybody makes up for the fact that we're not going to be there for that one semester. And also, it's just one semester, and we know they go by really fast. So thank you, and happy to take any questions.